podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network's 200 stations coast to coast on Sunday, February 9th, 2020. This is episode 1668. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Securing every access point in your company doesn't have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's EcoTank printers. Now you can kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. The Epson EcoTank printer comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. Just fill and chill. Check out EcoTank printers at epson.com/EcoTankLeo. And by Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost, because everything is online. Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan. And get a SIM shipped to your door free at mintmobile.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers. Yeah, the internet computers. That sounds so 80s, doesn't it? The internet. How long before the internet sounds, oh, that's so 2010s or 2000s, the internet. We talk about smartphones. Those will be around for a while. Smart watches, I don't know. Augmented reality, that's the future, maybe. Virtual reality, maybe. Anything with a chip in it. We talk high tech here. That's the real bottom line. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. If you want to call and talk about stuff, let's do it. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me, but you have to use Skype out or something like that. Anywhere in the world. We get calls from all over the world, which is fun. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, and we do that because we do a website so you don't have to remember or write down anything I'm talking about. We'll put it all up there on the website. TechGuyLabs.com. TechGuyLabs.com. And that's free. There's no sign up. I'm not soliciting for money. I just put it up there as a service to you. So another Windows 7 bug. What was it? It was almost a month ago now, right? April 14th or January 14th that Windows 7 Microsoft said, this is it. The last update you're going to get. You're not going to get any more. And we spent a lot of time the last few months talking about alternatives. Most people, probably still the case, can just upgrade for free to Windows 10, even though Microsoft doesn't mention that. They didn't stop it. And so if you've got a Windows 7 machine, it might be worth upgrading to Windows 10. Just download Windows 10 from Microsoft. Don't get it from somebody else. They'll say, what's your serial number? I say, I don't know. It doesn't matter. And you just install it on top of Windows 7. If it's an operating, authenticated, official version of Windows 7, it shouldn't be any problem. It might be a good idea now. This is the second bug since Microsoft said, but we're not going to fix them anymore. They fixed the last one. It was a silly bug. But weird, and you have to wonder how these things are occurring after 10 years of fixing and patches. All of a sudden... So the first bug was a wallpaper bug. If you choose, I can't remember, what is it, fit to screen or stretch? Probably think it was stretch. If you choose, so you picked a picture for your wallpaper and you said, let's stretch it so it fills the screen. Your wallpaper would turn black. Okay, not the end of the world, by the way. If you set it to anything else, it would be fine. Not the end of the world. But now there's another one. And this is actually maybe not the end of the world, but pretty serious. Windows 7 users have started reporting that when they shut down, they say shut down Windows 7. This, that's the kind of thing people don't do that often. But when you do it, you'll get a pop-up that says you don't have permission to shut down this computer. What? What do you mean? It's my computer. No. Now, it's possible Microsoft will fix this one. At some point, Microsoft's going to say, look, we told you. We told you we weren't going to do this anymore. Can we just move on? But you have to wonder. I mean, foolishly, I admit, I said a few weeks ago, well, you probably are all right, because after all, Windows 7 has been fixed and fixed again over the last 10 years. Lots of patches. There's probably no bugs left. Boy, was I wrong. What does this come from? No one knows. There are a couple of weird workarounds that I guess you could so you create, and one is you create another admin account. You log into that account, or if you already have another admin account, you log into that. Then you log back into the default admin account, and then you shut down. Okay. This is a strange bug, isn't it? There is also, of course, a GP Edit fix, but most people don't have GP Edit and certainly don't want to use it. So Microsoft fixed the broken wallpaper, which was dopey. This one's more serious, not being able to shut down your computer. And of course, you know what people are going to do. They're going to reach around to the wall and unplug it. No, don't do that. No. That's a recipe for disaster. Or you know, maybe this might be marginally better. You press and hold the on/off button on your computer until it just turns itself off. I have never seen this. So what this really tells you, if you read between the lines, is what a mess Windows 7 is. What a mess Windows 7 is. Because after 10 years of fixes and patches, you would think every possible, bug like this would have been caught and fixed. The fact that new ones are cropping up, well, it's hard to say since we don't know the cause, but it tells me that this is the worst spaghetti. We call it, in the industry, they call it spaghetti code. Not because it's got yummy tomato sauce on it, but because you can see spaghetti all tangled up. And the problem, good programming practice would be that you would write a routine, a bit of a code or something, in such a way that a change in that bit of code doesn't affect other code out there, other stuff. But apparently that's not, and spaghetti code, of course, it's like the butterfly effect. You flap your wings in one area and everything breaks. And apparently that's the status of Windows 7. Maybe Microsoft's right in saying, yeah, we don't want to fix this anymore. But here's the bad news. Windows 10, it's mostly Windows 7. I know there's been Windows 8 and 8.1 between it, but no, it's mostly Windows 7, as was Windows 8 and Windows. They don't start from scratch. You know that, right? They don't. Wouldn't that be nice? Throw that old spaghetti code out. Let's make something nice, modern, with all everything we've learned over the last 40 years of operating system design. Let's do something really slick and secure. No, they don't do that. They say, okay, take the old stuff, put some Bondo there, some spackle there, fresh coat of paint over there. Hey, Windows 10, ta-da! So chances are the same kind of bad coding practice. By the way, that's why we have all these security flaws. It's the same thing. There's a thin line between a flaw that makes your wallpaper turn black when you stretch to fit, and a bug that allows ransomware to enter your computer without your permission. There's a very thin line there. It's kind of depressing, frankly, that the whole world is running on this stuff, this ancient, antiquated code base. Why, you might ask? I ask this all the time. Aren't companies working on, fresh operating? Let's start over. You built a beautiful house, nice, very nice. You're telling everybody move out of that house, and then move back in after we paint it, basically. Why don't we tell everybody move out of that house into this nice house we started from the ground up, from scratch? Well, there's a few reasons. One, it takes years. From the Microsoft point of view, they don't want to do that because they don't want to break all the other programs that run on Windows, right? That's one of the problems Microsoft has, is they always want everything to keep working, including the program that you bought for Windows Vista in 1998, or I guess maybe even earlier, a long time ago, maybe 2000. And they want that to still run 20 years later. They really do. And that's the problem. They can't just start over. Google has a new project they're working on, a new operating system they call Fuchsia. Bad name. Bad name. I'm sorry. I don't want fuchsia on my computer. What is that? It's like a hot pink kind of a. Ugh. But that's what they call it. And maybe remember Apple for a while was working with IBM to create a new operating system they called Project Pink. Maybe there's something about that. What color is fuchsia? Oh, it's purple. It's a purple red, named after the fuchsia plant. Still ugly. I don't want my computer to be purple red. Anyway, they're working on it from ground up. They're doing it more for, I think, we don't know, but I would suspect more for commercial reasons because Oracle, which owns the Java programming language, which much of Android's based on, has been suing Google. In fact, it's in the Supreme Court now, saying, you stole it, and you're going to want to give me billions of dollars. And Google's probably thinking, oh, man, if we just had our own. So they're working on that. I bet you somewhere deep within Microsoft, there's some poor guy, probably in the basement, writing a new operating system. But will it ever see the light of day? I don't know. What about Apple? Mm-hmm. They got a new operating system. They really, they had an advantage because in the back in the 1900s, when Steve Jobs came back, he brought the next operating system with him. That was kind of newish, written in 1994. That's new in the operating system world. That's new. And they've been willing to kind of cut off people, say, well, for instance, their newest operating system, Catalina, their big update to Mac OS, says if it's a 32-bit program, an older program, it's just not going to run anymore. See, Microsoft would never do that. But Apple's at least, I guess maybe because they have a smaller user base. I don't know. They're willing to do that. And that's helped them a little bit. But even then, Mac OS, it's starting to look a little old. I think it'd be nice to get a new version. Write something new from the scratch. And I bet you Apple's doing that too. It's just hard. Not hard to do, but hard to introduce and say to everybody using your computer, throw out the old. Let's in with the new. We got a new house down the street. Brand new. State-of-the-art architecture. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you want to talk high-tech, I want to talk high-tech with you. And if you're using Windows 7, don't call me because it's I can't help. I'm sorry. I don't. I feel like I understand. I do understand Microsoft's point of view. Like, no, wait, you get a new version. I can't think of what would cause that except you don't have permission to shut down your computer. What could that be? I mean, we've seen it before, but a long time ago, for many years actually, we've seen computers that won't shut down. That's not at all unusual. But a computer that pops up something says, well, you don't have permission to shut down. That's weird. Microsoft has not spoken up on this. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's talk high-tech. Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, coming up. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just back from Chicago and Los Angeles this week.
Oh.
Went to the reveal of the new 2021 Cadillac Escalade, and then went to the Chicago Auto Show for a couple of days.
Busy guy. Do you want to talk about, I mentioned this yesterday. I said maybe we'd talk about it with you, this Tesla taking away the autopilot.
Yeah, we can certainly talk about that. I also wanted to bring up the new OLED displays in the Escalade.
OLED. Ooh.
Yeah, and it comes from the manufacturer of your TV, from LG.
Well, as it should.
Yeah.
As it should. Wow, an OLED dashboard. That would be nice. Is that what's behind you? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's the dashboard of the...
that is pretty.
There's actually three separate OLED panels in there that span 38 inches across. The center one is 17 inches, and then a 14-inch cluster in front of the driver, and then another 7-inch display on the left-hand side to switch between different modes.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Wow. She is unbreakable. The unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. You know what?
What?
Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer.
Oh, that. I forgot. got.
I got to give credit to the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That's the theme song from that great show.
Have we got busted for using that yet?
No, we pay our
BMI
license
as
fines,
dues.
high fees.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I should be able to use it.
Okay.
I don't know how this stuff works. How are you, Kimmy?
Good. How about you?
I'm really well.
Good. It's windy as
The Dickens.
out there.
What does that mean when they say the Dickens?
I don't know.
Windy as the Dickens.
Yeah.
I have to think about that one. You are ready with many calls for me, I sense.
Yes. Patrick in Palo Alto wants to know if you have used the Capture One Sony photo software.
Well, as a matter of fact,
Have you?
I have.
Okay, then maybe you can give him
I
some.
shall pick up the phone and speak
Line
to him.
2.
Thank you, Kimberly. Hello, Patrick. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Welcome. So you're using... So Capture One comes with Sony cameras, which is kind of nice, although normally you have to buy it.
Yeah, well, they have like an express version that comes with it, but
Right.
it's pretty limited. So I'm thinking about buying the full Sony version, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Is it safe? Is it a reputable brand?
Oh, yeah.
A few years.
So here's the deal. Here's the dealio. Most professional photographers are Adobe users, so they use Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom for their post-processing. That's really, really common. But Apple came out with a program called Aperture, and because a lot of photographers use Apple products, the Aperture gained a little bit of a market share. And then Apple, in their infinite wisdom, canceled Aperture. And then Adobe, in their infinite wisdom, went from buying the Lightroom program outright to charging you a monthly or yearly subscription fee. Admittedly, Adobe only charges $10 a month for the Lightroom and Photoshop package, but it was enough to irritate photographers enough that they started looking for alternatives. And there are lots of them out there. Capture One has been around for quite some time. In fact, the current version is version 20. So that'll give you some idea. The Sony version that they give away is a subset, as you point out, of the Capture One Pro, which works with all sorts of cameras, all kinds.
Right.
And I do know a number of pros that use Capture One. It's not the only choice out there. What the first question?
The only choice with the tether feature.
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, Lightroom does tethering. That's very common. So tethering, for those who don't know, is if you're working in a studio, you want to tether your camera to your computer. So when you take a picture, it shows up immediately on the computer. And often that's just so clients can look over your shoulder and say, why is that so red? That kind of thing. Tethering's also useful, just to get an idea of what you're shooting. Are you a studio photographer?
I'm not a studio photographer. Actually, I've called you before. I'm the driving instructor from Palo Alto.
Oh, yeah. The brave man with just a brake pedal. That's it. That's all he's got, folks. Gets in the car with teenagers, lets them drive. He just has a brake pedal.
Yeah, I'll be on the road later, so everybody...
Oh, man. They ought to put big neon signs on the car saying, stay away. This guy doesn't know how to drive. He's a student. Anyway.
Is he driving yet?
No. So this is apparently the new thing. He's 17. My first batch of kids, this is my stepson, my first batch of kids wanted to drive the minute they turned, 16. Nowadays, kids don't drive as much. Do you notice that too?
Absolutely. When I offered you a lesson, but I keep listening to your show and you never mention he got his permit.
I would, no, he still hasn't got the permit.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for you to say that on the air.
I'll tell you when he gets the permit. Yeah, his friends now all are starting to go for it late again. Okay. It's funny, I think, and honestly, I wonder in 10 years or 15 years if kids will drive at all. But let me just to answer your question. They'll all be taking Ubers everywhere. I think Capture One's excellent, but it's one of many, and it's a difficult choice these days. Sam's coming up to talk cars right after this. What do you use, Tom? Lightroom and Luminar. So that's, so there's two things that you use these programs for. One is to organize them.
Yeah.
And that's called digital asset management. And Lightroom's got a pretty good system to do that, although many other programs might be better, including Capture One for that. And then, of course, there's the photo editing. If you shoot RAW, and most pros do, you have to have something. RAW isn't rendered. RAW. If you looked at the RAW data, it's not even in color. So you need software to turn it into something you can look at. And then furthermore, if you want to edit it, make it, fix the white balance or whatever, you need software that'll do that. The renderer is a big part of this. Adobe Camera Raw is the renderer that's built into Adobe products and is widely considered to be an excellent renderer. Apple has its own Camera Raw rendering, which I'm sure because it's Apple is quite good. Are you on Mac or PC?
I'm on a Mac and I'm using Photos, but they switched to Catalina. The files that are inside the folder are no longer listed by year, month, and day. They're now listed by order of picture name, and it's just a disaster.
That's a nightmare. No, you want it by capture time, of course.
Yeah.
Well, there's also DxO makes one. You might take a look before you settle on a bunch of them.
Yeah, and I don't want a monthly subscription, which is why I'm not even considering Adobe.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a real problem. DxO Photo Lab is another one. Tom says he uses Luminar, which has limited damn features. It's got some. They keep promising they're going to put library features in. That's from Skylum. I use it for editing. I think it's a very good editor, and I think it uses their own raw rendering.
You're all around $100 though, kind of like the Capture One, or
no. The nice thing about Luminar is it's cheap. I think it's $80.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see. Buy now. It's Windows and Mac, which is nice. The Luminar is $89. You can also get it. The way they make money is by selling additional packs. They also have a very good HDR editor that Trey Ratcliffe helped them develop. I think
these are all safe for the computer.
Totally safe.
Awesome.
These are major brands. Capture One is used by a lot of pros. I would say that's the most popular alternative to Lightroom. Yeah.
Can I get a quick follow-up photo question in?
Sure.
Just a quick one.
Sure.
I go print my photos a lot of times at Costco, and I use a CD because I don't like putting a medium that they can write on and then putting it back on my computer. Are those computers that you shove an SD card in to print your photos, are those safe?
Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? In theory, they are, but you know what? They could easily be hacked, couldn't they?
Okay. That's what I've always.
That's a really interesting question. My suggestion. I noticed Tom uses Shutterfly. You like the reproduction? I think they're quite good. Tom is a photographer. Just brought me his catalogs, which you will like, Sam. This one is of the Concours d'Elegance. And you said you use Lightroom. These are beautiful. You can tell kind of Luminar has a very kind of artistic editing. This one is Luminar or Lightroom? They're all Lightroom. And this is printed with Shutterfly. This is quite a nice print, I think. So there are other choices that you upload, so there will be less security risk than taking it to Costco and putting it in a. Anytime you put something in a USB device, I always would be more and more looking askance at that. Hell, I don't even want to use a credit card at a gas station anymore because of skimmers. They discovered a couple of skimmers in Petaluma. Our show today brought to you by the amazing Epson EcoTank printer. They support our podcast. We thank you. Epson's EcoTank, incredible. They did a bold thing. They invented the Epson EcoTank, and it is revolutionary. This is talking about focusing on the customer. This is what you're looking for. The Epson EcoTank printer comes with a ridiculous amount of ink, thousands and thousands of pages worth, in easy-to-use, no-spill, keyed bottles. You can't load it wrong. Don't worry about that. And, man, you're going to love it. There's up to 2 years of ink in the box. And when you go back to the office supply store in 2 years, in 2022, and you buy more ink, you could say, I'll see you in 2024. That's a nice feeling. Epson's EcoTank printers. Print all you want. All you want. Tax forms, business documents, reports, beautiful color. You're going to love it. I have 2 of them. When you're thinking about the perfect printing solution, think no farther than the Epson EcoTank printers. There's one for every use. They're beautiful multifunction printers. Put them on your shopping list so you too can just fill and chill, transform the way your home or office prints. Do away with out-of-ink frustration. Go to Epson, epson.com/EcoTankLeo to learn more. Epson EcoTank printers, epson.com/EcoTankLeo. Fill and chill with Epson. Exceed your vision. Thank you, Epson. Oh, and thank you for supporting the podcast by going to epson.com/EcoTankLeo. Yeah. Hello, Sam Abuelsamid.
Hello, Leo.
You are sitting in front of the dash of a beautiful car. I mean, that really is a gorgeous dash. Tell me about that.
That is the OLED display system in the new 2021 Cadillac Escalade that was just revealed earlier this week.
Now, I don't think anybody uses OLEDs in cars. I have an OLED TV. It's the best kind of TV. But
yeah, I'm not aware of any others right now. There will be at least a couple of others coming out this year in addition to the Escalade. Apparently, the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class that's coming out later this year will also have OLED displays. And these displays are actually made by the same company that made your TV, LG. So they know what they're doing when it comes to big OLEDs. And there's actually 3 separate OLED displays in here. So there's 2 touch screens, a 17-inch on the right-hand side above the center console, and then a 14-inch display in front of the driver for the instrument cluster, and then another 7-inch touchscreen on the left-hand side near the A-pillar that lets you toggle between the different modes for the cluster. And a couple of, in addition to the usual gauge mode, you can also get navigation, so you can have your map show up right in front of you instead of off to the side. There's also night vision mode. So there's a night vision camera that you can get as an option in the Escalade. And then also what they call an augmented reality navigation display, which is actually probably one of the most interesting things. It'll be interesting to see how it actually works out in practice.
So you weren't able to drive these cars. They're not ready to drive.
No, not yet. That'll be coming in a few months' time, probably towards the summer.
What does the augmented reality do? Is there a heads-up display on the windscreen? Or?
So what it's actually doing is it's taking the view from the forward-facing camera that's normally used for Super Cruise and for lane keeping assist, and projecting that view into the instrument cluster, and then overlaying the directions for navigation right on, and anchoring those prompts onto the street. So when you're coming up to a place where you're supposed to turn, you will actually see the arrow on the street on the live view from the camera.
That's a little confusing though, because I can see the street through the windshield.
Right.
And right below it on the screen, I see the street with an arrow on it.
Right. That's why I'm not sure exactly how well this is going to work out in practice. We'll have to try it out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. And then when you get to your destination, it actually shows, the little pins that you have on Google Maps. It'll actually show that pin right on the view of the building, whatever your destination is. It'll show you that pin, say, okay, here's your destination right on the live view from the camera.
That's wild.
So I agree. I think it probably would be better if they could project it in a heads-up display. But I think it would be a lot harder to figure out exactly where to anchor all of those prompts there, right. As opposed to doing
you
it.
Can't do that. Hey, this is a stupid question. Is this a 4K display?
They haven't said exactly what the resolution is.
It's not like I want to watch movies on it, but
what they have said is it's a higher pixel density than a 4K television. Of course, they didn't say exactly what size of 4K television that is, because obviously the pixel density varies. 4K on a 40-inch screen is a lot different from 4K on an 80-inch screen. But it definitely looks.
Did you put your nose right up against the steering wheel and look at it and see if you could see any pixels?
I couldn't see any pixels. It looks really good. And one other nice thing, because it's an OLED, one of the problems with having all these LCD screens in our cars at night, and you've talked about before, how LCDs work, with those little shutters, and there's always some light bleed through those shutters. They're never completely opaque, so even in a dark mode, they're still fairly bright in the car when you're driving at night, because it's an OLED. When those pixels are off, they're black. So there's
I
a
like
lot
that.
of light
Yeah.
pollution when you're
Yeah.
driving.
Now, there are problems with OLEDs. Burn-in is a big one. What are they doing about that? I mean, I think one of the reasons you don't see these screens in cars is because they're going to be in there for 5 to 10 years. That's a long time for a screen to be. I mean, maybe people that would drive Escalades don't keep their cars as long.
Well, I mean, generally, cars are designed to last 10, 15, 20 years,
Right.
without needing components like this replaced. So presumably, LG has developed, some variation of OLED here that should have a much longer lifespan, and shouldn't have a problem with burn-in. Hopefully, they're doing things like maybe, doing a little pixel shifting, because obviously a lot of the things that are on your screen, in a car, it's a lot different from watching a TV. There's a lot of things that are going to be static, on
Right.
the screen and could lead to burn-in. So hopefully they've done some things with that. We didn't get a chance to delve too deeply into that just yet, but I think the fact that multiple manufacturers are going to be adopting this starting this year is probably an indication that LG has addressed this problem.
There's no question it looks good, right? I mean, it's just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it looks fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly probably all they care about. Well, that can't be the only thing, but if it looks good on the showroom floor and you get in the car and you go, "Oh, I got to have this." That's a good thing.
Yeah, especially for an expensive vehicle like this.
Yeah. It's not an
and I think
electric vehicle, right? It's still
No, not yet.
yeah.
There probably will be an electric version coming in the next 2 to 3 years, and Cadillac is going to be introducing electric versions of everything they build between now and 2023 or 24, I think.
Oh, interesting. I have to say, when you're looking at a car like this, I always assume, and probably wrongly, that the most technological innovation happens on the electric vehicles, but that doesn't sound like it's necessarily the case.
No, I mean there's a lot of innovation happening on other vehicles as well. This one of the features that this has is second generation Super Cruise, which we talked about before.
Loved that. That was on the CTS that we drove, or the
CT6.
CT6. That's right. Yeah, that was really sweet.
Yeah, and so that'll be on here, including things like automatic lane change. It's got over-the-air update, software update capability for everything in the vehicle. Over-the-air map
that's
updates.
interesting. Hey, that's an interesting topic because we were talking about this yesterday, and I don't know the real facts of the matter, but it sounds like a guy bought a used Tesla. He bought it from a used car dealer who bought it directly from Tesla at auction. When he bought it, it had all the self-driving features, $8,000 worth. But shortly thereafter, Tesla updated his car and took them away, saying, "Well, you didn't pay for these."
Yeah, so
that's a little scary.
I also don't yet know the full details of what went on here. Tesla is claiming that this car never should have had that in the first place, that it was mistakenly provisioned.
It was on the sticker.
Enable.
It was on the sticker when they bought it at auction. It said it on there.
And, this wouldn't be the first time that Tesla's done some shady things with over-the-air updates. So this is something I'm going to be looking into a little more, and I think a lot of other people will be investigating.
I'm sure we'll hear more about it. The bottom line, I think, that's interesting is that cars these days, because of their over-the-air updates, and that's what made me think of this, is they have the capability to there's software as much as hardware nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that we will eventually start seeing. Somebody mentioned in the chat room, the idea of autopilot as a service or other features as a service that maybe you pay a subscription fee to get certain functionality, and when you turn it off, it's like paying for your streaming services.
Wow. I just think there's an ethical. We're so used to buying a car, and that's what you get. And
Well, I think if we're going to do that, though, I mean, manufacturers need to be very clear up front that that's what the deal is.
Reverse update. Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Navigant Research. His podcast is at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every week to talk cars. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't lambaste them yet because there may be more to that story, but as I said, we don't know what the deal is, and I haven't seen
Tesla's actual, their terms of service for when you buy autopilot, to see whether it actually says that, this only applies, like, when you have, when you buy a TiVo and you buy that lifetime subscription for the TV guide on the TiVo, it's only for the lifetime of the device. Is this, it's possible that, Tesla may have changed their purchase agreement for
you have to read
autopilot
the fine print, right?
to see if it only applies to the original owner, which if it is, I think that's BS. I think that's especially
That's
at
a lot
prices
of money
they're
to
charging.
pay.
Yeah.
$8,000.
Yeah, and last year, Tesla issued a software update for their vehicles that actually degraded the driving range, the electric driving range on a bunch of vehicles, and the reason behind it was they were seeing some durability issues with some of the batteries, and so in order to protect the batteries, they actually reduced the available capacity from the battery, which cost about 10 to 15% driving range for a lot of Tesla owners.
That's a little weird that they turn on and off the battery in software. Like how much capacity you have in software is a little weird.
Yeah, so that's, and I just wrote a blog post for the Navigant Research blog that should be coming out this week about that. Just the dark side of OTA updates.
Yeah,
it's nice that you can get new features, but there's also the possibility that manufacturers could take stuff away.
Manufacturers can give us.
Yeah, and we've seen it. We've seen it with other devices, with a lot of IoT devices. Like I think you were talking on
Sonos
on Twit last week about Sonos and Wise cameras.
Mm-hmm. I compare it to that because what we're really buying nowadays is both hardware and software, and that's very different from the way it used to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I also have an article coming on 1.0 that should be published in the next day or two that talks about Sonos and why you'll probably never be able to buy a fully autonomous vehicle.
Oh.
So maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Why you'll never be able to buy a fully autonomous vehicle. Oh.
Yeah, well,
they'll only be for ride-sharing companies, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, one of the companies that's developing autonomous driving for trucks, for heavy-duty trucks, a company called Too Simple, part of their business model is actually, they're working with truck manufacturers to install the hardware, line fit the hardware, but then for the fleet operators running these trucks, they will offer the technology as a service. So you'll pay for every mile you operate in autonomous mode, you'll pay some fee back to Too Simple. So that will reduce the cost for the users, and also give recurring revenue back to
Too Simple.
To Too Simple.
Well, and that's a legitimate qualm that these companies have, and software companies have had traditionally for years, which is we have to maintain it forever. But you only pay for it once.
Yeah, well, especially for stuff like this where it's safety critical systems,
right.
You do have to maintain it and provide security updates for as long as that hardware is in operation.
Yeah.
So, these service models or, subscription models are a better approach to be able to fund that.
Sam, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now, that was in a movie, wasn't it? Lady Laura, are you only going to play movie-themed songs? No. This is Oscar night, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What movie was that in? Build Me Up Buttercup. Oh, I know it was. Does that ring a bell, anybody?
Something About Mary.
Something About Mary. Very good. I think you're exactly right. Christina got it. Yes. In our studio audience. Very good. I knew I recognized it. That's right. Build Me Up Buttercup. Oh, I think that's what Lady Laura's up to. I didn't think about this. She's going to give us movie songs. We have to identify the movie, right? All right. She did that last week with the Super Bowl halftime performers. We were talking with Sam about this whole issue, and it's very interesting and we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, thanks. It started with Sonos. The fact that nowadays you buy hardware and you buy software. You buy speakers and then you buy the software. And one can stop working when the other is still within its reasonable lifespan. Same thing with a Tesla. They can take away. Elon can giveth, but Elon can taketh away in a software update. Turn off a feature. What did you buy? But there's a historic problem for software companies. And it really points up how different buying software is from buying physical hardware. When you buy a car, you own that car, right? That physical hardware, you own it. If something goes wrong with it, they warranty it for a limited time, usually a year or two, maybe 3, maybe 5 in some cases. But at a certain point, you're responsible. If something goes wrong, you got to bring it to the shop and pay for it to get it fixed, right? We're used to that. We understand that. There's a warranty. After the warranty, you fix it. Hardware, same thing. Software, for some reason, we have this notion that it should be maintained forever. And so companies this is why Microsoft's getting a hard time about saying, well, we're done with Windows 7. They quite reasonably, I think, say, well, we can't keep fixing this forever. You paid us for it once. And you bought Windows, you probably didn't even pay us directly. You bought a computer with Windows 7 on it. We made $50 from the computer company, and you expect us to maintain that forever? No, we can't. That's not reasonable. That's why a lot of companies, including Microsoft, Adobe, are turning to subscription models for software where you just keep paying us. And I don't think that's completely unreasonable. We don't like it as consumers because we're used to the way it works. But it's a big change. But if you look at it from the point of view of the developer, you can see there's a Mac program, which I like a lot, Mac and iOS program. It's a calendar program called Fantastical. And Brent Simmons, the guy who wrote it and makes it at FlexiBits, they recently decided to change everything. It was a program you'd buy outright. Every few years they do a big update, but your old program would continue to work. They've decided to go to a subscription model, and you should hear the howls of pain and outrage. I understand. I do. Because, we're used to the idea you buy software and you keep it. But especially in the iOS world where software is $3, $4, $5, 99 cents, is it reasonable to expect a company to keep supporting it, keep fixing it, keep updating it, and you paid them $1 once? It's just not an economically viable point of view. So we're going through this right now. I don't like the idea of Tesla turning off a feature that in the car just because a second buyer bought it. It may be in the license agreement. It probably is. Who reads those, right? 8888 asks Leo, what do you think? What do you think? Line 3, Jim in Bend, Oregon's next. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Got a problem that's been driving me nuts. I was downloading Windows Update for Windows 10, and I noticed it stopped all of a sudden. And I checked, my Wi-Fi was turned off. I turned my Wi-Fi back on, and the darn computer turned it off itself. And then when I checked the networks, it's showing the network.
But your network's still working. It's just that computer.
Just this computer. And I've updated the drivers. I've reinstalled Windows 10. But even the troubleshooter just says the problem is not fixed. It doesn't say what it is. Or
There is one thing, and we actually had a similar call yesterday, and it is something that does happen sometimes. Your computer can sleep when it's not being used. So can devices. And your network interface, whether it's Wi-Fi or Ethernet, also has the ability to sleep and may even turn itself off because it thinks you're not using it. Now, obviously, that's not the case, but you probably should look in the driver, and you'll have to go down deep within the driver into the properties of the driver and see if it has, if it's allowed to go to sleep. If it is, turn that off. Turn that off. That's just a wild shot in the dark because it could also be there's something wrong with it. It might be heating up. If you're downloading a lot of stuff, that there's a chip in there. There's no moving parts, but there's a chip in there, and all those bits going through it can actually get it pretty hot. It may be turning itself off as it gets overheated. If you turn the computer off and on again, it all works fine for a while again. That's often a symptom of heat, but it also could be this, I'm going to sleep now. Good night. So I would check that. That's something that's easy and quick to check.
How about hiding the network? Like when I tap on network adapters, there's I'm not adapters, but on the networks that
you don't see it.
There's nothing there.
Yeah,
it tells me to plug in the Ethernet.
Yeah, because it's gone to sleep. I'm sleepy. I don't want to do it. Let the other guy do it. So that sounds to me like it's either a physical hardware problem with there's a chip probably, unfortunately, soldered onto the motherboard for Wi-Fi, unless you have external Wi-Fi card. Very few people do these days. That may be damaged, but I would check don't let it go to sleep.
Okay, most likely the drivers.
Yeah, but I mean, you can actually go into Windows and look at the Wi-Fi drivers for that Wi-Fi chip, whether it's an Atheros or a Broadcom, whatever it is, and you can actually, there'll be a box there that says "Allow to sleep, don't."
Right.
Yep. It could also
under the power thing in one of them. It has that. I unchecked that also.
Okay.
Unchecked the box.
Yeah, if you've unchecked that, yeah, it just could be a bad chip. And the problem is, nowadays most logic boards, motherboards have the Wi-Fi built in. That chip is soldered, surface mounted onto the motherboard, so that means a replacement of the motherboard if it's gone bad. Haha. Now the good news is you can, for nothing, $12, buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter. So that if you can't figure out any other fix, then I would get the USB Wi-Fi adapter. Go out and on Amazon, you just plug it into the USB port. The nice thing about it is the antenna is now external. It should actually be a little faster, work a little better. You can get a more modern one. You can get one that supports Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 6 if yours does not.
That's great.
Yeah, and they're cheap. It's so that's the fix for it if you can't figure out any other way to fix it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that's happening to you. That's no fun. I use, it's not, I've used external Wi-Fi cards frequently, and they're not expensive. They work fine. I don't even recommend a particular brand nowadays because I think they're all made in China by, let me just look on Amazon here. TP-Link makes one that's as small as a little USB dongle. You just stick in the USB port. I kind of like the idea of having an external one that's external with a cord so you can position the antenna around. But if you want it to be compact in a laptop, a lot of companies, Asus, make the little, they call them nano USB adapters. They literally just plug into the USB port and they just stick out just a little bit. And they do a fine job. They'll do at least as well as the internal adapter. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Oh, it is time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. 8888 Ask Leo. On we go with the show. Paul in San Diego. Hello, Paul.
Hi.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. I have a number of home automation apps.
Yeah?
Like Schlage Lock and Nest thermostats. And every one is, when you're on your cell phone, you have to bring up the app. And
it's so annoying, isn't it? Each one has their own. I know. It's so annoying.
So what I was thinking of doing is using an 8-inch or so tablet and keep them all open all the time.
Oh, that's it. And you can just swipe back and forth. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. In theory, in some magical day in the future, we won't have this problem. That's why Apple, Amazon, Google are all trying to create kind of centralized hubs. A lot of your devices will probably work with Amazon's Echo, so you could do it by voice. That's, of course, a little limiting, but you can say things like, turn the heat up to 72. You could say, open my front door, lock my front door, that kind of thing. So
I'm not into the voice control.
Okay.
I just like visual control. So I thought something like an 8-inch tablet.
Yeah, great idea.
On the wall.
Yeah.
So
do they all have apps both for Android and iOS?
I'm pretty sure they do. I happen to have them running. Yeah, they do, because my wife uses some of them.
Perfect. On her Android. Okay.
On her phone, and I use them on my phone.
Okay. So, so then it would be cheapest to buy an Android device, obviously. Although, I have to say, Apple makes the least expensive iPad now is pretty cheap. It's $299 if you shop around. I think the list is $329. And that's not a bad iPad. I've used that one. And you could easily mount that in the wall. and then use that. The nice thing about the reason I like the iPad is because it's easy to swipe from side to side to go to the next app, the next app, the next app. But an Android tablet would also be fairly inexpensive. In fact, considerably less. There have Android tablets for $99. And if that's all, I wouldn't recommend them for any other purpose. But if all you're going to do is mount it in the wall, then that's probably okay.
Well, what brand? Any suggestions?
For the cheap ones, because I don't usually recommend them. Usually I recommend Samsung, which makes tablets completely as expensive as iPads. There's no benefit, like the Galaxy Tab and the Galaxy Note. I'm looking, here's a Huawei MediaPad for $255. That's a pretty good price. Asus makes inexpensive. Oh, look, here's a Google Pixel C. I don't know. Do they still sell that? I wonder, because that price has gone down over time. It's become less and less attractive. But the Pixel C is from Google, which means it's probably the best supported and will have the purest Android. And that one's coming in just a little over $200. But if you really want to go lower, just go to your local gas station. or they often have $99 Android tablets. The problem with those is they're so cheap, they probably don't have the latest version of the operating system and so forth and so on. So for security reasons alone, you want something that is kind of up to date. I would look at Acer, ACER, Asus, ASUS. Google, if you can find something from Google, is going to be the most up to date. They make very nice tablets that are very relatively inexpensive. And maybe your best deal, if you have a Best Buy near you. Yeah, Best Buy sells a whole range of them, and you could probably go to Best Buy and take a look and find the cheapest one that looks decent to you. At least look at it before you buy it. I think that's a good idea. Really, the future of home automation is in these hubs. Apple has its home hub. Actually, if you're an Apple person, your Apple TV, your Apple Hub, whatever, that speaker they sell, and an iPad, all three can be a hub for your home automation device as long as they support the Apple protocols. And in fact, all three can be at the same time working, which is nice. Apple TV makes sense because that might always be on, but it's nice to have a variety of different devices for that. So that's one reason maybe to go with, the Fire tablet. Why did I not think of that? Thank you, chat room. Amazon sells really cheap. They're sort of Android. That's the problem with it. It doesn't come with a Google Play Store on it. They are running Android in the background, but you'd have to maybe jump through some hoops to install those apps. Look and see if the apps are in the Amazon Android store, and if they are, then you're good. Otherwise, there are hoops you can jump through to get the Google Play Store on a Fire tablet. The nice thing is the Fire tablets are so cheap. They're basically subsidized by Amazon. They figure, well, you're going to buy a lot of Amazon stuff, so. And, it might be worth it. A lot of them you can talk to. They have Amazon Echo voice built in. You can use them to buy stuff. But you want to check the store to see if the apps you want are in there. That's an interesting conundrum. Dave, Twin Falls, Idaho. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Greetings from the great Northwest. How are you?
Greetings, Dave. Is it freezing in Idaho?
No, it's actually, it's about 40 degrees, and it is sunny out.
It's balmy. Spring has come.
Yes, for a couple days.
Yeah, anyway. What can I do for you, Dave?
Hey, I bought, probably around a year ago, I bought an inexpensive HP laptop, an HP Stream, and with the ambition of getting rid of Windows on it. I'm not a Windows person. I prefer iPads. Anyway, I backed up the operating system onto a removable drive.
Just in case you ever wanted to go back to Windows? That's
exactly.
Sensible.
I didn't want to burn all my bridges. And I downloaded Ubuntu based on
fancy
your recommendations on
Linux.
Linux.
Nice.
Operating systems. And I could not get anything to hook up to Wi-Fi in order to get updates to...
Oh, you mean once you installed Ubuntu on that stream?
I did. It's there. I can't do anything with it.
Notoriously, Wi-Fi is one of those things that notoriously can be problematic with Linux, especially on something like the Stream. And that's because the Stream is HP's lowest cost notebooks, and sometimes they get extra proprietary on that stuff. And so understand how Linux works. Linux is a free operating system. It's community supported. And so it doesn't necessarily, HP probably did not make drivers available for Linux. They say, well, this is a Windows laptop. Who needs Linux drivers? So the community has to develop those drivers. That drivers are the little programs that run in between the operating system and the hardware so that you can use the hardware. So one of the things you're probably missing is a driver for that specific Wi-Fi chip in the Stream. Doesn't mean you can't get it working. It just means that you're going to have to become a little bit of a Linux expert.
Well, this was something that was just going to be kind of a work in progress. I work hard. I work a lot of hours. I don't have a whole lot of time, but it was going to be something just to do on the side. When
it's a nice little hobby. So let me give you one suggestion to start with.
Okay.
That would be the easiest thing to do is instead of using Ubuntu, I use an Ubuntu derivative. So it all starts with Debian, which is kind of the longest term, most community-focused Linux distro. Ubuntu is a Debian plus. Pop! OS is Ubuntu plus, and it tends to have more drivers, especially Wi-Fi drivers. So if you go to system76.com, they're a hardware manufacturer, and see if you can download it, install it just like you did Ubuntu, see if it works with the Wi-Fi. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to figure out what the chip is in that box, and that's a little bit trickier. Although a little research, Googling Linux, HP Stream 11 install or Stream 14 install. What you really want to know is what the Wi-Fi chip is in there, because almost always these drivers are specific not to the computer manufacturer, but to the Wi-Fi chip. If it's an Atheros chip, then you're going to need an Atheros driver. If it's a Broadcom chip, you're going to need a Broadcom driver. And so then you can do a little digging. Well, I would say there's a lot of support. This is the disadvantage of Linux, but on the other side, because it's community supported, it's driven by a community of enthusiasts, people who have more time than you do, Dave. You'll find there's a lot of online resources and a lot of support out there. So I would Google. I think it's worthy. I wouldn't give up. You can always put Windows back on. Truthfully, you don't even need to download or back up your Windows. You can just download it from Microsoft to put it back on. But I would take a look at Pop! OS first before you give up. That's my current Linux recommendation. It was Ubuntu. Used to be the easiest to install. Pop! OS has taken Ubuntu just a little bit farther to the next step, and I think it works quite well. See if it's an Intel processor and an Intel Wi-Fi card. There is a new Linux out there which is maybe worth looking at. It comes from Intel, and so it might be more likely to support the Intel Wi-Fi chip. So if you could figure out, it's called Clear Linux at clearlinux.org, and it's an Intel development and widely now considered to be the fastest Linux out there because Intel's optimized it specifically for their hardware. Another quick fix, Linux fan in our chat rooms reminded me, is you could go out and get one of those cheap, I was talking earlier about cheap Wi-Fi adapters you just plug into the USB port. Get one of those. That's another way to do it. It is not unusual. There are a couple of things that sometimes don't work well. The big one is the internet, and that's a big problem because that's how you get those updates, right? So if it's not working, then what do? You have to get another computer, download it there, put it on a USB stick, put it in the install computer. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So if you can get this working initially, that's a great thing. And we'll put a link in the show notes. Echo 7's giving me a link to Ubuntu installing Broadcom wireless drivers. There will be similar links for Intel, Atheros, depending on the chip that's in there. So that's the first thing, is to Google HP Stream Wi-Fi adapter or Wi-Fi and find out what chip they're using. You did want to use Linux. the easy solution at any time is, of course, just to keep using Windows, or if you get a Mac OS. But I have to say, I'm a big fan of Linux. I really am. And I think the downside is it takes a little bit more tweaking and work. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, just around the corner. We're going to do a review of our photos, our journey pictures. But first, let's go to Lanny in Woodland Hills, California. Hello, Lanny.
Hey, Leo. Good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you. Welcome.
Save me.
Save you? Oh, by the way, that was from the Breakfast Club, right? That was yes. I forgot we're doing movie themes. What can I do to save you?
So I got a message from Adobe's Creative Cloud that my Lightroom can't be updated. So I try to settings, and when I click on the settings icon in the lower left
let me ask you a question before we go on. Did you buy that Lightroom from Creative Cloud, or did you buy it on a disc?
I subscribe to it.
So good.
It's a subscription with Photoshop.
Well, then you should have no problems. You could even just uninstall the Lightroom and reinstall it. Are you using the Lightroom Classic or the new Lightroom?
No, not the new Lightroom.
I agree, not the new Lightroom. Whatever you do, don't use the new Lightroom.
New Lightroom.
I can't even understand the new Lightroom, but the old one's fortunately still available. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Does it say why it can't install it?
Yes, it says that my operating system is not up to date, which is set to do auto updates. And I managed to stumble around. My problem is that I can't open settings. I click on the settings icon and it doesn't open. It just tells me that it's a settings.
Settings for Lightroom.
No, I'm in Windows desktop now.
You can't open the control panel.
I can open control panel, but I can't open settings. You click on the window icon and the menu pops up, and in the left side is one of the things is power on and off and all that. The other one is settings. Settings doesn't open on this computer. I went to one of my other computers. Settings works just fine.
Well, maybe Adobe's telling you there's something wrong with your system.
I want you to tell me what to do about it.
Yeah.
And I can open control panels, but I don't see settings in the control panel. I see system, but I don't see a way to get to control panel. Now, here's the other.
By the way, settings, as far as I can tell, is just a different view of the control panel.
No, it's actually.
Well, it is. It's the Windows 10 view of the same exact things. But.
Okay, Leo, when I open control panel on my laptop, when I open settings on my laptop, it gives me a different.
Yeah. It's the new view of the same old stuff. So this drives me crazy that the Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, decided to do two different control panels, but they did. So it's all the same thing. It all ends up being the same thing. There are the old style control panels and the new style, but so there's something wrong. Obviously, you know that.
To the update history. And,
yeah. So don't worry about that. Stop that, because if you can't even open settings, there's something more severe wrong. I think what you want to do, honestly, if you can get a Windows install, is run it and do a repair on your Windows, because it sounds like you've got some corrupt files. That's really what's going on with Adobe, and you want to fix that before you fix anything else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I think it's, let me see here. Irvine Rob has put something in the chat room. Update settings not opening Windows. Updates and settings not opening in Windows 10. Did you upgrade from Windows 8?
No, I never had Windows.
It was always Windows 10 from the very beginning?
Yeah, and I used an install disk. I bought the disk.
Good. Well, if you have the install disk, you can run it, and there's a repair option in it.
I remember.
Yeah, and I would run the repair. What that does is that goes and looks at all the system files and sees if they're intact, and if they're not, it replaces them. My suspicion is you have a damaged settings file.
Okay.
And if your settings won't start, it may well be that you're not getting updates.
Yeah, I did happen to stumble upon the update history. I don't even know how I got there. I was poking everything. And it turned out that it had tried to do the latest update. What is it, 1903 or something?
Yeah, 1909.
1909. It tried to do it 4 times.
Yeah.
And it failed each time, so...
Yeah. So in a way, you can thank Adobe because they've told you something kind of vital, which is that you need to fix your Windows system before it's going to go any further.
Yeah.
So I think the simplest thing at this point would be to run that Windows installer. It's going to actually run a little program you can run without the Windows installer disk called the System File Checker. So an alternate way to this, you'll still need the disk, is to run SFC from the command line. But I would just put the disk in and run the repair and see if that repairs it. You also, I think in Windows 10, I don't know if this is going to work or not, I think you can repair directly from within Windows 10. If you, it may not, of course, if your settings aren't working, you may not be able to get into this. But there is, if you hit Windows key and type repair, you'll see there's a repair thing. It may not, I don't know if it runs through settings or not. I think it does. So, but that will also give you some maintenance options, including...
Well, settings may be fine. I just can't get to it.
Yeah, that means to me that something's corrupt. Those files might be corrupt.
Dandy. Okay.
So that's so just so you know, settings is just the new name for the control panel.
Well, but if I open control panel,
I know you get the old style. You get the old style control panel.
I don't see any way to get to updates or settings or anything like that. I need to see the updates.
Right.
But
even if you saw them, there's clearly something wrong. You're not getting what you need. I think if you're not getting 1909, it's blocking that. There's something else going on. I would start with repairing Windows. See if you can get that. Worst case scenario.
Reload Windows.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to do that. There is a routine. First do repair, and then there are reset routines within Windows that you can do that will increase with increasing levels of aggressiveness. Replace stuff.
Okay, how do I find those? Settings.
Just Windows key recover.
Windows key and then recover.
Yeah. It's a recovery control panel, and you can try some of those recovery tools. There's a lot of ways to do this. There's also, I think, reset. Let me see. Yeah, there's a Windows key reset, which will launch the full recovery. That's a settings thing, though, so it may not load if your settings aren't loading. I'd start with the repair out of the Windows disk first. Okay?
I will give that a try.
Good luck.
Thanks again.
Sure. Chris Marquardt's about to head to a nice, warm Siberia to his photo expedition in Lake Baikal. You are nuts, man. Nuts. But he's here to join us right now. And before you go, I want you to do our assignment review.
Yes, that's what we'll do. I've taken a very close look at the submissions for our journey assignment that's been running for a month.
Did we get a good bunch of them?
Oh, great stuff this time. It was a really tough choice. But I've made a choice. I've chosen 3 of the entries.
Now, just to recap, these were intended to illustrate the idea, the word, the concept journey.
Journey, which is quite a wide thing that you can choose in there. So
it's very open.
It was really interpreted in many different ways. There's people running. There's a lot of travel pictures. There's traffic pictures. There's also journey in a more not as obvious sense. So really good stuff. And the first one that I've chosen to look at is called Chinatown. And it's by Buy for Byte. And I mean, if you look at it at a glance and you don't know the title, this could be somewhere in China, right? This is the storefront at night. We're looking at this incredible mix of colors, which just happens when it's night, and there's shop windows. So we have the green sign, we have orange, we have red, we have blue, red, green, blue, RGB. That's a very, very primary color kind of image. There's a wet stripe on the road in the front, so there's reflections in there. And then there is this bicycle in motion driving through the picture in the front. And 20 years ago, I would have probably tried to avoid that.
Really?
I would have waited. Waited for the bicycle to be out of my frame.
Oh, no. So much better with the bicycle.
Oh, this is so much better because it adds this human element to it. And again, it's in Chinatown, but it could be in the actual place in China. So I like that. I like the whole mix. And it's very straight on, which is also interesting because we have architecture there, and the lines are all nice and parallel towards the edge of the frame. So it looks very composed. It's a very deliberate photo. It's not a snapshot where everything is kind of askew. It's straight on.
I love it. I really love
that works really well.
The blurry speeding bike going by. It's a fun shot. And you're right. You've talked before about shooting urban scenes at night with a little rain thrown in.
I wish there was a bit more rain on the street in the front. But even that strip of wet pavement is making the difference.
Yeah. All right, there you go. And that is from Bite for Bite. Well done, Bite for Bite.
Yes. So second one by Wilson B, Winter Hike. And what we see is a dog in the snow in front of a bunch of trees and snow in the air, snow falling.
This is straight out of that Disney movie, The Incredible Journey. I mean, this is literally a journey here. That dog's going somewhere.
And this photo, that's not easy to capture. That's a technically different shot, a difficult shot, because, well, first of all, we have pretty strong contrast between the dark forest in the background and the bright snow. But what is really difficult to capture often is snow, falling snow. I've seen so many pictures where people were disappointed that the snow didn't show up. And what Wilson did here is two things. First of all, he took that picture where it was snowing really hard. I mean, it doesn't look like that, but there must have been an enormous amount of snow in the air.
Yeah, you're not going to miss that snow.
And the second thing is, and that's a very key thing here, there is a dark backdrop behind the white snow, because the same amount of snow that you see in front of those trees is also in front of the snow in the front, but you don't see it because it doesn't have any contrast with the background. So that is very, very helpful. And then the dog in the picture, I mean, composition wise, the dog is nicely framed there. There's no weird branches growing out of its head or its back. It's separated from the background. It has this nice, clean white canvas to sit on. So good job, Wilson.
And he's looking straight at the photographer. I like it when I can kind of see the animal's eyes, huh?
That helps.
Yeah. This is a valuable exercise. People are probably wondering, why are you describing photos on the radio? But I like to hear your thought process. It helps me know how to pick my own photos, like what I'm looking for. And you've mentioned before how hard it is to shoot snow because it tends to turn gray. So this is nice white snow. That's true as well. It really looks beautiful.
And by the way, on the topic of speaking about photographs, I get that feedback on my podcasts a lot, that people love that people enjoy listening to someone thinking about photos. So
it's like listening to your brain as you go through your photos to see what you're looking for. And that's kind of the idea. It's a lesson that I try to learn because I'm really bad at picking photos. My wife's great at it. She'll go. In fact, I wish I could get her to. I'll take the pictures, honey. You process them, because she is ruthless. She'll go, no, yes, no, yes, and I can't do that. They're all my babies. This is a beautiful one.
All right, let's look at the third and last one, and it's by Larry Albower. The Journey Begins is the title, and it's a black and white photo of the side of a Greyhound bus. And first of all, I kind of like this because it has so many levels in it with the reflections. You can see through the windows on the top, but also there's reflections of whatever, the bus shelter or something. Then there's this big chrome Greyhound on the side of it. And I chose that because that has a very special meaning for me. And that's one thing that I think is also important. What meaning does a photo have for you? And for me, it reminds me of about 30 years ago. I spent 4 weeks in the United States, and I took a Greyhound from New York to California. And that reminds me of that journey. So that does have a different meaning to me than to probably a lot of other people. But that's a memory for me.
Yeah, I think though every American sees this Greyhound and knows immediately that's such a iconic symbol that we know what it is.
Connect something different to it. So that is my connection with the Greyhound bus.
This is a beautiful shot, and I love it that he made it black and white because that really focuses on the silvery kind of
on the shapes,
quality.
on the layers, on like everything. So I like the reflections in the windows on top.
Yeah, really, really interesting photo.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course the decisions he made about how to frame it, how to crop it, where he put the symbol, where he put the dog, and then where he put
the dog has a bit of space to run into in the picture. You know? So
there's a little shifted left, so there's a little more space on the right. Yeah, where he's going.
That's good decision to put it there.
Yeah. And also the choice of reflections, because the roof line at the very top is distorted. So you then know, oh, that's not a direct shot. That's a reflection.
Yeah, something goes click in your mind,
Boy, we have some great photographers. These all of these pictures were uploaded to our Tech Guy group on Flickr. Flickr is a free site. Everybody's a photographer, wants to just kind of start taking pictures a little more seriously, should probably have at least a free membership. We want everybody to get a pro membership just because we want Flickr to keep on going. It's a great photo sharing site and a great way to get comments and reactions to your photography. Your assignment coming up next. I wasn't watching the clock.
Leo.
I'm bad. It's all right. We got it all in, and I will. We'll do the assignment when we get back.
Should I stay on for that?
Yeah, just stay on for it'll be
just briefly,
a couple of minutes. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, because I didn't get to plug everything you're up to.
Totally fine.
We want to plug the upcoming workshops.
Plug Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is too late to plug.
Obviously.
Ethiopia probably too late. Bhutan still a couple of seats, and the Kyrgyz Republic in June.
So we'll plug those. That's good.
That would be lovely.
I gotta pull up your site so I can show those beautiful pictures. Fotoreisen.
It comes in English. There's an English.
I know.
version.
It's funny. It said Fotoreisen first.
Yeah,
and then it translated it.
It pulls both versions in and then switches.
Who's your site on?
That is Rapid Weaver.
Oh, so you do it yourself?
Yes, I do.
Like an old school guy.
Well, old school would be me using VI and editing the HTML and the CSS, but
that's really old school.
Yeah, no, Rapid Weaver has worked quite well for me. It has a plugin structure, so you can have like different special things in there, slideshows and stuff. But in general, it's a very basic layout tool.
Well,
easy.
What is old school is that you're making a static site, which you then, with a bunch of files and folders, which you then put on a server.
If you scroll down and you see the tables in the further down on the site, there are tables with the workshop lists. Those are not static. They get pulled from MySQL database and generated once a minute and then integrated.
Oh, so it's still static.
Well, it's static, but
it's a cron job.
One level above. I did have them pull them straight from the database, but that was too dangerous.
Yeah, no, this is good because you know how fast it loads. That's why, right?
It's quick enough. It actually slowed the site down to it added 3 or 4 seconds, and that was no good.
No good, man.
Well, everyone should have a website. We trust way too. We trust in those platforms way too much.
But nobody does static anymore.
Well,
I'm tempted. Every time I look at what I always wanted is something that would take folders on my hard drive and just kind of use a cron job to put them up on a website. There's quite a few solutions like that.
No reason to make this not a static page. It loads fast.
It's not a forum.
It's responsive. It doesn't have any real interactive content. And if there is anything interactive, it's easy to plug in a PHP file.
I've used so many platforms over the last, I guess my first site was about 20 years ago. And I've just kept importing, exporting, and I've lost, links have gone, pictures have gone and stuff. I don't want to make another move. I'm WordPress right now. And I just kind of I don't want to make another move because I know I'll lose more. The text always comes through, but I'll lose more content.
Yeah, but I have to use WordPress for the podcast, but I'm not a fan.
I like WordPress. You don't like it?
It's this big monoculture.
Well,
monocultures are so susceptible to crickets eating them up. So
no, and of course, if I were to create a static website, I wouldn't have to ever do that export again, unless I decided to move somewhere else. But at least I'd have a copy of everything. Our show today brought to you by my mobile carrier, Mint Mobile. I love Mint Mobile. Let me pull up their lower third here so you can make a note of that. The Fox. This is the one, yes, owned by Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. They've never been clear. Is he a 100% owner? I think he's an investor. But it's a really good idea. It's what we call an MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator. They resell T-Mobile access. If T-Mobile works well in your neighborhood, Mint Mobile will work well in your neighborhood. But here's the advantage. Mint Mobile doesn't have stores. They're only online. They save a lot of money, and they pass the savings on to you. Mint Mobile gives you same premium network coverage you're getting with T-Mobile right now, but at a fraction of the cost. And I mean a fraction of the cost. You could start right now with Mint Mobile with their special 3-month introductory plan, just $15 a month. And that includes unlimited talk and text. Unlimited nationwide talk and text. Now, I started it and I said, wait a minute. This is a good deal. T-Mobile works great in our area. I know I want to use this. I went for the $300 plan. Now, wait, Leo, $300? Well, $300 a year for unlimited talk, nationwide, unlimited text, and 12 gigabytes a month. LTE data. I never go more than 5 or 6, but it's nice to have the 12. So I'm paying $25 a month for something I was paying T-Mobile $80 for, Verizon $90 for. Take a look, Mint Mobile. Ditch your old wireless bill and start saving. You can buy a phone from Mint Mobile, but the best way to do it is take your existing phone. They have a little IMEI checker to make sure it'll work, and they'll send you at no charge a Mint Mobile SIM. There it is right here. There's a sticker on it that says, there is a SIM in this one. We have a lot of these. The SIMs are universally gone. I think everybody here at Twit is now using Mint Mobile. We all love it. The SIM is gone from this one too. It's great. But this is what it'll come in. You'll have a SIM inside it. You put it in your phone, activate it, and suddenly you're a Mint Mobile customer, and you are saving a ton of money. You could choose plans depending on your usage. Just look at your current bill, see how much you use, 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of LTE data a month. You can bring your phone number. If you get a new phone, you can port your old phone number over. But the main thing you're not taking with you is your old wireless bill. Ditch your old wireless bill and go with Mint Mobile. I love the Fox. Just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan. Try that anyway, just to see. I ended up saying, hey, this is so good. I'm getting the $25 plan and 12 gigabytes a month. Mint Mobile, M-I-N-T, mobile, mobile.com/techguy. Cut your wireless bill and enjoy the same great service you're used to at Mint Mobile, mintmobile.com/techguy. We thank them so much for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. All my phones are now on Mint Mobile. They're saving me a lot of money. Save yourself some money. Use that special address. Let them know you saw it here. mintmobile.com/techguy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Chris Marquardt's still here because we had a fun time reviewing our Journey images, but we didn't get a chance to see what the next photo assignment is. The way this works, we give you 4 weeks to take pictures of something illustrating a concept. The past one was Journey. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be an actual journey. Just kind of evoke that feeling. And then the way we do it is you post your pictures on Flickr. You'll have to tag them. Submit them to the Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will take your pictures in, and then in a month, Chris will review the next batch. Chris, what is, drum roll please, our assignment this month?
We go by the alphabet. So Journey was J, and the next one is K. And I thought I'd pick something that is kind of like, people like to show pictures of their kitten. So it's a kitten.
Kitten? What if you don't have a kitten?
Well, then find one.
All I've got is cats.
Well,
all right. But cats sometimes act kittenish.
Cats don't have a K in it.
And it could be kitten heels. It could be kitten-ish. It doesn't have to be a cat per se.
If it's an ex-kitten, that might also work.
A former kitten. That's a good idea. I have many former kittens. All right, kitten, K. Tag it with the word TG for Tech Guy, TG Kitten, and upload it to our Tech Guy Flickr group, and we will have a assignment review, coming up in about a month. Chris is headed out, though, to Lake Baikal. We're going to record a few segments with you after the show today because you'll be going to Siberia next week, this week?
In 3 days, yeah.
3 days.
I'll be off.
That's the Lake Baikal Big Ice Journey. These are photo workshops. That one's booked up. You're going to Ethiopia. You told me there are a couple of seats left in April for the Bhutan trip. That is going to be incredible. Bhutan is the happiest country on earth, apparently.
It's amazing there.
Yeah.
Very amazing. And we do something that pretty much no tourists usually do. We cross the country. So we go all the way through, and then we come out at the other side in India, and then we go to the Taj Mahal just to round it all off.
Oh, man.
That's the plan.
Okay, there's a couple of seats left on that. The Kyrgyz Republic in June, Cappadocia in Turkey in September, and there's many more all the time, plus workshops he does at the Viewfinder Villa, his studio in Germany, and a lot more. You can find out all about that at discoverthetopfloor.com. Chris has a wonderful website and lots of his images too. Discover the Top Floor. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Leo.
Kitten. That's oddly specific. Kitten is our topic for the month. Back to the phones we go. The number 8888. Ask Leo, line 3. Shar in Cambridge, Minnesota. Hello, Shar.
Hi, Leo. Say, I got a couple of printer questions for you. One is my own.
Okay.
And that's an Epson, my favorite printer for, I can't tell you how long.
Epson's, my first Epson, and I should mention they're a sponsor, obviously, but my first Epson goes back to my first computer. It was an MX80 dot matrix printer. They've been around since the beginning.
Same one I had 40 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
With my Osborne.
Oh, my God, you had an Osborne?
Sure, cut my teeth on it.
So jealous. Oh, I always wanted an Osborne.
Just like a K-Pro, but, who knew?
Yeah, I always wanted a K-Pro, too. And a compact. Those were all the first portable computers that weighed more than a modern PC, desktop PC. They were 30 pounds. Luggables.
Because my mother's Singer sewing machine is what it was.
Yeah. Exactly.
And there's another for a client, too. It's a different printer. But first of all, I had an Artisan 810 that was the only one I knew of. Maybe you know some others that actually will print on discs. I like to print on discs.
This was a weird. These are going to be soon gone, so preserve your Artisan 810.
Well, I got it. I now have a what is it called? No, an XP 820. It too, and this is the problem. It too prints on disc.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
I've got lots of discs to print on.
Yeah.
Except the ones I want to print on is a 3-inch, which fits nice in an envelope.
But the printer doesn't know about 3-inch discs, does it?
Yeah, what's the problem?
Well, it's just smaller. What do you mean, what's the problem?
Well, I'm asking Epson, what's the problem?
You know what you could do?
What?
I wonder if somebody makes this. You could get a standard, what is a standard CD? 5 inches, something like that? Get a standard size CD, cut a 3-inch hole in it. Like,
I'm wondering now if that's a problem, if there's something in that guide that goes in that holds that disc.
Yes, that's exactly it. Does it have a little slot for the smaller one?
Pardon? Well, no. There's a square hole at the back of the carrier, and I'm wondering if I cover that carrier. I haven't tried it yet. I'm wondering if I cover that carrier.
Make a little cardboard holder. You get a little adapter, basically, and then when you set up the print job, you want to make sure you don't print on the adapter. You'll have to print only on the 3-inch. I can't. First of all, this is very arcane, very obscure. There are lots of people listening saying, "What's a CD?" And you know, I doubt. I mean, Epson's probably not going to make any more of these because nobody uses these anymore. You're a holdout from the old days. Might as well ask. I need to print some labels for my floppy disks.
Yeah, well, I've got 100 3-inch discs, but I have no way to print on them. I can record on it, but I can't print on it.
What the rest of us do? Use a Sharpie, for crying out loud.
Oh, that's gross. All right.
Okay, that's an unusual problem.
Okay, well, here's another one.
Here's my only solution for that is if you made an adapter of some kind. You know, maybe this would be good if you have a friend with a 3D printer. You could make it to specific tolerances because it needs to be pretty close to the exact thickness and size of an actual CD with a hole in it exactly just right so that you could put that 3-inch in it, and then you should be able to mount, put it on the printer and print to it. So
I'll give anything a try.
Actually, you know what? Irvine Robin, our chat room, says the new Epson EcoTank ET7750 also prints on CDs. So Epson knows that you're out there.
I'll get an Eco print. I like that thing.
Yeah, though the EcoTanks are great.
I'm a big fanboy of it.
You know, the worst thing to do is print on a label that sticks it on the CD. Don't be tempted by that.
No.
You know better than that, right? Because that'll come unstuck and ruin the CD player.
One other question. I have a client who's got a beautiful old Konica Minolta. Boy, talk about going back.
Oh, those are gorgeous cameras. Yep.
It's an all-in-one. And
printer.
It has drivers for everything except Windows 10.
Of course not. What are you living in the past for, my friend? Sure, it's time to join the 21st century.
Well, look, you'll love this. It's a history society for the county here.
Yeah. You know, I live in a bubble. Honestly, to be fair to you, I live in a bubble where all my technology, everything surrounding me is from the last year. And so I'm not really realistic. The realistic world, people use hardware for a long, long time. But you have to acknowledge that at some point you're not going to be able to get drivers for this stuff. And I don't know, what I would look at, there is an open source print driver repository called CUPS, C-U-P-S. And because it's open source, there's almost certainly somebody out there with a Konica Minolta printer, and he's written a CUPS driver. So I would go to cups.org and see if you can find a CUPS driver for Windows and then a plug-in for that driver that works with that old printer. That's your best bet, because Konica's not going to do it. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. It's all the tech stuff surrounding us, engulfing us, devouring us. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Give me a ring. We'll talk high tech, our website. Everything we talk about on the show is put there. You don't have to write anything down. TechGuyLabs.com. Thank you, James DeRuvo. He's writing as I speak. He uses a quill pen and dips it in the ink and scritches it across the page and then faxes it over to our staff here who transcribe it into a Wang word processor, and we put it up on the internet so that you no, I don't think it's that complicated. So that you don't have to write it down. The point being, the website techguylabs.com is there for you any time of the day or night, 7 days a week, and there's no charge. There's a search there that you can find stuff. So if you say, "Oh, Leo mentioned this thing," or Leo was wrong and I want to correct the record, you do that at the website. You can leave comments, and there's no charge. techguylabs.com. Let's go back to the phones. Charlie is on the line from Potomac, Michigan. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Leo, thanks for taking my call. From Montana.
Oh, okay. Montana. I misread the M.
Hey, several years ago, I was going to edit my photos, and I was on Facebook, and I saw this little device that you plug into your USB port, and it's supposed to delete duplicates and arrange them all in order chronologically.
Huh.
Well, this contraption, I plugged it in, followed all the prompts and everything, and now I've got anywhere between 5 and 10 duplicates.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It did the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
I did it twice. So
what a dopey program.
Right?
But I can tell it's dopey because they want to sell it to you on a USB stick instead of having you just download it. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, well...
they could charge more, I guess.
Yeah, well, they hooked me. Anyway, so I got all frustrated and I just put it away. I figured I'd edit my pictures some other day.
Yeah, and you know what? You didn't lose... I hope you didn't lose pictures. You just have
not a one. I
more
have
copies.
Yeah, at least. So anyway, I see there's an ad back on Facebook for this device.
Okay, let's stop buying stuff off Facebook, shall we?
There's an idea.
What's the name of this device?
You know, I wish I could tell you that. Like I said, it was 3 years ago, and I was so frustrated with it, I just packaged it all up and threw it in the garbage.
I don't blame you. I'm sorry you bought it.
Yep, I didn't.
And you saw an ad for it again? They're still around.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't want to take a chance of doing the same thing because, now I have to manually go through and edit these pictures. But I was wondering, is there anything out there that you would recommend?
Oh, yeah.
Do this for me?
Oh, there's much there's much better stuff. Was it the photo stick? Does that ring a bell? I'm looking at the getphotostick.io. I bet you that's it. It's a USB key. Instantly, it also backs them up onto the photo stick, which is nice.
Well, it didn't do any of that.
Yeah, maybe the idea of this is the backup. That's why they give you the USB key, as opposed to just deduping it. In any event, yes, there's wonderful software. First, let me ask, are you on Windows or Mac?
Oh, I have Windows 10.
Okay. On the Mac, just for completeness, I use a program called Gemini 2 that is a really good deduper. The key on this, of course, the worst thing a deduper could do is dedupe all the copies of a photo. You don't want to lose any data. So
right.
it's and this is, I think, one of the reasons you got to be careful about this. I mean, the second worst thing is what happened to you, which is multiple copies, but at least you didn't lose anything. There are programs that will dedupe too aggressively, and you'll end up losing maybe the originals, maybe just edits, but it's a minefield for the people doing this, right?
You're not sounding very encouraging.
Well, I just want to warn you not to be too loosey-goosey with, well, you already know that.
Yeah.
Because you can really get into, a problem if you do. So one thing you might want to do before you even do this is make a copy of, do you keep all the photos in at least a folder somewhere, a pictures folder or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and I actually have them downloaded or copied to a external drive.
Okay. So
I have all of those.
That's the key, is even though you have all those duplicates on there, at least make a backup of everything. Now, the next thing to do is to know what to look for in a deduper. There are lots of these. There's probably many, many dozens of programs that do this. Some are naive. They just look at the name of the file and maybe the date, maybe the size, and say, oh, that's got to be the same. It's got the same name, same date, same size. Let's delete it. That would be a mistake. So what you really want is something that's going to look into the file itself and compare. There's a computer science technique called hashing, where you could take a bunch of data and you can run it through a little thing. It's very quick and generate a number, a fairly long number, maybe a 10, 20, 30-digit number that reflects the contents of that file. That's what you want, is a program that will hash the file contents. That doesn't mean it's looking at your photos. It just means it's making a mostly unique number that represents the contents, and then only duplicating stuff that has the same hash and the same file name and the same creation date. You know what I'm saying? It's a little more careful about what to delete.
Yes, okay, I'm following you.
So that's what, and if you're going to look at these programs, make sure when you read the specs that it does that at least, okay, that it's smart. So there are a number of these. There's one that's literally called Duplicate Photos Fixer that specifically does that. There's Duplicate Cleaner. There's Duplicate Photo Cleaner. You'll see a lot of these. I have not used anything but Gemini 2 on my Mac and iOS, so I can't say which one works. The chat room says they like Duplicate File Detective.
Duplicate Files Detective?
Duplicate File Detective. So these are all, it's not a hard, honestly, I could write one of these over in a day. It's not a hard thing to do. You just want to make sure that whoever's doing it knows what they're doing and does it correctly. So Duplicate File Detective is at duplicatedetective.com.
Duplicate Detective, okay.
And let me just look real quickly at this program to make sure it does that one thing that I talked about, which is looked at the hashes. The other thing, here's number one feature on the list. It says find exact duplicates based upon file contents. That's just what you want. And in fact, they even have what will be slower but even more accurate optional byte for byte matching. That will always work perfectly. There's always a potential with a hash there might be a collision. That's a lot. Hash is faster, but if you want to make sure that there's no, you only delete duplicates, that would be a nice optional thing to turn on, the byte for byte matching. Then it's really looking at each byte of the file, making sure they're identical. This looks pretty good. The other thing that's nice, one that's designed for photos will often give you a chance to look at the file it wants to duplicate and compare it with what it thinks the original is, so you can verify as a human. Let me just see. You can try Duplicate File Detective for free. Let me just see how much it costs here. It's a little pricey. It's $55.
Oh, I think that's about what I spent on that.
I'm sure it is.
Little thing.
I'm sure it is.
So I feel this like such a clown.
The good news, honestly, is nowadays computer storage is so cheap that many people just say, "Well, I'll live with it."
Yeah, I guess I could.
We all are a little OCD, and you just have to see: is this just OCD, or is this really getting in my way?
Well, I just want to thin out my pictures.
Yeah.
Just go through and edit them, because I use that flash feature, where you can take, 3 or 6 pictures.
Well, yeah, burst mode. If you have burst mode, absolutely. Now you have 20 copies of the same exact shot, practically. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and I just want to be able to edit, out of a list of 6 of them,
so
which one or two
Duplicate Detective may or may not understand burst mode. The ideal, Gemini will do this. It will say, okay, you have 20 photos that aren't identical, but they're almost identical. Obviously, a burst mode. You want to pick one from those and get rid of the rest. That's something that's really photo aware. I don't know if Duplicate Detective will do that, but
really, all I want to do is just be able to get rid of my duplicates, that I'm at least starting out with, my 300 original or however many I might have.
I think Duplicate Detective sounds like a good choice. It does give you a preview, Steve says, so that's a good thing. So you can if you really want to be careful, you can look at the two just to make sure. I think if you make a backup of all the files, including the duplicates, and then run it on the, your internal hard drive, just in case you've got the backup, put that in the closet. You don't have to ever look at it. I think that's a good thing to do.
Very good.
Then you have fewer files to go through. I know the feeling. My problem is not so much duplicates, although I have some. It's that, I would go to my son's lacrosse game when he was in high school, and I'd take 500 or 600 photos. Some of those photos are great. They're action shots. They're exciting. You could see his face. A lot of them aren't. And for me, the real challenge is not the duplicates, just going through those and picking the 2 or 3 great ones and deleting the rest. And I can't do it, which is why I have more than 100,000 photos on my hard drive. So there's a good one for Windows, Duplicate File Detective. Thanks to the chat room for that. And as I mentioned, I use Gemini too, which actually has an iOS app, and it looks right into Apple's photos and does a great job on that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take a little break. We'll come back. More of your calls coming up. Yeah, I called it Duplicate Detective because the website is Duplicate Detective. I thought it'd be easier for people to find it if I use that. And it is a Windows app. Windows 10, 8, 7, Vista, Windows Server 2019, 16, 2012, and 2008. And I'm just basing that on Steve in San Diego's recommendation. So thank you, Steve. Yeah, I wonder if that's what Elon is up to, is trying to kill the... They wouldn't, though, because when you buy a car, one of the things you look at with the car's price is the resale value, right? Isn't it? I don't think it would be in Tesla's interest to kill the resale market. Line 2, Dana in Griffin, Georgia. Hello, Dana.
Hey, Leo, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine. Listen, I want to make a quick comment, and I got a question for you.
All right.
Your iDrive is not accessible with screen readers either, and I sent you an email on that.
I'll talk to those iDrive folks. Get them with a picture.
To get off the other one and get on the other one that one you're sponsoring. I'm on Carbonite. It's accessible, but I'd like to use iDrive if I could.
Yeah, the reason I like iDrive, and they are a sponsor, is unlike Carbonite, you can use one account on all your systems. Carbonite was per system pricing. So you are blind, right?
Yes, sir.
And you use a screen reader, which means you obviously can't see the screen, but the screen reader will read all the parts of the screen to you. And
that's correct. I use JAWS. It won't work with JAWS, NVDA, or Ceratec products. I got all 3 of them.
That is strange. I don't know why it wouldn't, because unless you're doing something really oddball, any Windows program should just be on the screen, and that text should be readable.
Well, it's saying graphic. It's got a lot of graphics.
Oh, yeah. What you really don't want to do when you're creating a program is, instead of putting text on a screen, is putting a picture of text, because a screen reader doesn't know what that picture is.
That's right. I've used a mouse. I've tried everything, and I can't get it to work. So I'll try to let you know that.
All right. I'm gonna mention that to them. Accessibility is a challenge. We used to go to a website called Bobby, which I miss terribly, that would go through your website and say, look, you need to put text tags on this image, and this image. This is wrong. You can't do it this way. It would grade you on accessibility. This was for websites. I bet you there's something like that for apps too. And more companies are aware of this. I mean, certainly Apple and Microsoft are very aware of it and very aggressive, as they should be, because they want their programs to be usable by everybody, right?
Right.
All right. I will mention that to iDrive. I'll call those iDrive guys and tell.
Okay, I got a question. I'm running Winamp, and every time I run that program, it wants that UAC, the permission, the administrator permissions, and it will not quit doing it. I've installed it in another folder. I've done everything I could think of.
It does really whip the llama's butt, though, doesn't it?
It sure does. I've tried everything. I even deleted the win.ini, which that doesn't do anything but reset your settings if you do that. I mean, it won't hurt it. So,
is Winamp still available?
Yes, sir. It's still there. It's Winamp.8. I've even installed earlier versions. I went back to 6.5 dot something, and it's still doing that.
Here's what used to be a problem. And I haven't used Winamp in a long time. Winamp was the greatest player, and they had all sorts of skins, and it was a way of listening to music files.
I use it as a bookmark feature.
Yeah, perfect for you. So there is a setting in Winamp, and this is because Winamp has to be fairly aggressive about file associations, file types. You know what that is. On Windows,
Yes.
You want Winamp to play all your .mp3 files, all your .mp whatever files, all your AAC files. You want Winamp to automatically play all your music files. The problem is, in Windows, every time Microsoft updates Windows, it goes through everything and says, no, Windows Media Player is going to play all those files. It breaks the file association. So for a long time, there was a setting in Winamp that when you click it, when you run it, it goes out and it checks and it fixes those file associations. Good thing, because Windows is constantly stealing them back. Bad thing, though, because that's one of the things that triggers UAC. So UAC, which is a valuable security feature, user account control, is designed to protect a program from doing anything damaging, including resetting file associations. So that's why you're getting the UAC. At least it was for years why you're getting the UAC. The good news is in the options menu for Winamp, you can turn that off. You could say, don't check file associations every time. The bad news is from time to time, you'll want to turn that back on again and get them all back. I don't know if you double click or select a song and hit return to play it, and then expect Winamp to load. That's the file association trick, and that may go away from time to time as Windows takes it back.
Yeah, it hollers every time I go to a file. It says Winamp command handler. Or something.
Yeah. So that's what's causing the UAC. Go in the settings, turn that off, and it should work fine. This is one of the many awful features of Windows. Windows file associations. And it's an interesting conundrum because Apple does it, or used to do it differently. I don't know what Apple's doing these days. But in the old days of Windows, actually in the current days, all days of DOS and Windows, it would use that dot three-letter extension, sometimes 4 letters, to determine what program to open when you double-click that file. So if it's a .doc file, it opened Microsoft Word. That's called the file association. There's a database of file associations. And you can change those. You can modify them. The problem is, of course, there's a competition amongst Windows apps for who will open what file. And music's one of the worst ones. So every time you update Windows, Windows Media Player is going to say, somebody stole my file association. It's going to steal them right back. So my suspicion is this is still the case. I don't think Winamp's been updated in some time. Didn't they go bankrupt? What happened to Winamp? But it was part of the problem. So I think that's go in the settings and disable that. Winamp.com, Llama's Ass Whipper Academy. Oh, it's still out there. A leaked version of Winamp 5.8 recently spread over the internet. Yeah. It's not an ongoing project. See, I think the company that made Winamp got sold or went under, but now it looks like somebody has it. They're updating it. That's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, they went through a number of owners. Radionomy, that's right. Nullsoft, which originally made it. Justin Frankel, I remember it. Yep. They sold it to AOL for $80 million. Good for you, Justin and Dimitri. In 1999, AOL, as part of their ongoing mission to break the internet, sold it to Radionomy in 2014. Last release was 2 years ago, 2018. I bet you anything it's that option. Just uncheck that option and you won't get the UAC issue. On Mac, they used to have a file type internally in the file itself, part of the metadata of the file, and that worked better than a file extension. That's why Mac apps didn't have to do file extensions. Regedit for the Mac is not the registry editor for... What was it? It was ResEdit, not Regedit. ResEdit. Regedit's the Windows ResEdit. Thank you, Mike and Chems. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Boy, you took me on a trip down memory lane with Winamp. They stopped making Winamp. I was actually looking up the story of Winamp because I thought it went under or went away. It was Winamp was the media player, the music player for early Windows. And actually, it was available on Mac OS too, I think. Justin Frankel, does that name ring a bell? I wonder what Justin's up to these days. They created Winamp for a company they called Nullsoft, sold the program, which at the time was the dominant Windows music player, for $80 million to AOL in 1999. Of course, AOL didn't do anything with it. They sold it on probably for a pittance to a company called Radionomy in 2014. Radionomy stopped updating Winamp. Actually, Winamp lost a lot of users, I think, with the AOL updates. People just really didn't like the new version AOL was making. And it got, it kind of got supplanted by other media players. There are probably lots better ones out there. I used Media Monkey, remember that, for a long time on Windows? Winamp was the only way to play MP3s on Windows for a long time. That's why you had to have it. Boy, that's memory lane. I went to the current Winamp site, and whoever owns it now hasn't updated it in a couple of years, but they note on the website somebody leaked a new version of Winamp, so we're going to put it here, but we are currently working on an updated Winamp 5.8, I guess. Now, they announced Winamp 6. They announced it in 2018, in October 2018. So here we are a year and some months later, and they still haven't updated it. I don't know. People love it, though. People love it. Great memories, right? 8888 Ask Leo. Line 4, Michael, Long Beach, California. Hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you, Leo?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I put Linux on a USB. I also bought it on USB because I thought maybe I did it wrong. But I can't get it to boot up.
That's because you did it wrong.
So that's why I bought the one, and I thought, well, the one
that one should boot up. So you can't just take a Linux. So Linux, which is, as we've mentioned many times, wonderful, highly recommended, free operating system. Much like Windows, it'll run on almost every PC, sometimes with some minor hardware issues, but for the most part runs quite well. You can't just download the ISO file, which is how it's usually distributed, and put it on a USB key. You have to do it.
Yeah, I didn't do that way.
Yeah, good. Because, and generally if you're using Windows, we recommend a program called Rufus, a free program that will put it on a USB key in a proper format for you, rufus.ie if you want to check that out.
I think I use PenDriver or something.
Yeah, there are probably other programs that do it, and I just always do it by hand. There's terminal commands you can do it, but so it has to be put on the USB key. The ISO file really is a CD image, so it has to be reorganized a little bit before you can actually boot to it. But you say you bought one, and it won't boot either.
Yeah, I bought one, on the internet, and it was real cheap. It was $10 or something.
Yeah, it should be. You're just basically paying for the USB key and a little bit of effort.
Exactly,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that one would boot up, but it doesn't boot up.
So what happens? What happens when you boot to it? Does it boot at all, or you go right to Windows?
It goes right to Windows.
Okay. So there's a couple of
I go to the boot menu.
Right.
And I say boot from USB, DDR, or whatever it is.
So there's a couple of steps you have to take to get Linux to boot on most modern PCs. Step one is what you did, which is change the boot order so that your computer will check the USB port for something bootable before it goes to the hard drive. Most computers are configured, just go to the hard drive, boot up what's ever in the hard drive. But in this case, you say, no, that's Windows. I want you to boot that USB key. But you've already done that, so you've gone into the setup. You say, check the USB port, try to boot from a USB drive if that's available. The other thing you almost always have to do is turn off Secure Boot. Modern PCs, in their firmware, in their EFI, UEFI firmware, have a setting to protect the PC from rogue operating systems. It's called
in BIOS?
It's in BIOS. It's called Secure Boot, and it will only boot up to a signed operating system, and that generally means it'll only boot to Windows. So on almost every PC, I think it's possible to get a signed version of Linux, but very rare. If you haven't made an effort to do that, then you don't have a signed version. So you just turn off Secure Boot, and it should boot up. There's one more step sometimes required, usually not. Modern computers don't use, you said the word BIOS. That's the old way of starting up a computer. BIOS is the basic input-output system that would be in the firmware. It'd load that, then it'd load the operating system. Nowadays, we use EFI, the extensible firmware interface. Same idea. It's still a chip. It's still software in the chip that gets loaded so it can load the rest of the system. But you have to do that a little differently on the USB key, on the Linux key. So there are Linuxes and there are ISOs that are UEFI compatible. Most modern Linux distros do work with UEFI, but just in case, if not, then there is a setting in almost all BIOS setups. I call it BIOS just because that's what we used to call it. It's actually in the UEFI setup, called legacy mode. And what that does is it says to the BIOS, pretend you're not UEFI. Let's pretend we're BIOS. And almost always at that point, everything should work. You probably don't need to change that. You almost certainly need to turn off Secure Boot. So those are the three things. Turn on boot to USB key, turn off Secure Boot. If it still doesn't work, turn on Legacy.
Okay, I can't remember if I saw Legacy on the Windows 7 Pro. I did see it on the Windows 10.
It's not part of Windows. It's in the BIOS setup.
Okay.
All of that is, you press the shift to the F10 or the F11, whatever key it is. It's different on every machine. Right. We haven't been able to figure out how to standardize on that, but you'll get into this setup, and those are the three things you have to take a look at. At that point, and I have to say, this is one of the nice features about Linux, modern Linux. You can actually run Linux off the USB key. It won't run as fast as it would if it were in the hard drive, but you at least have that opportunity to see if everything works. See if your Wi-Fi works, your internet access works. See if your mouse, your trackpad, your keyboard, your display drivers. Make sure that Linux has drivers for all of your hardware. And if it does, then there's almost always on the desktop or in the menu an install function, and that'll install the Linux on your internal hard drive. That's how you generally, day-to-day, want to run it. But it's nice that you can run the Linux off the USB key just to make sure that everything works. And sometimes it is the case that everything will work except a couple of things won't work unless you're in legacy mode. So that's sometimes the other reason you might want to turn on legacy mode. I don't. Legacy mode is kind of, it's kind of a hack. It's not ideal. So all I would suggest doing is turn off Secure Boot and see if it works at that point. Most of this is well documented on the various Linux sites. If you go to ubuntu.com, ubuntu.com, and read up on how to make the USB key, how to make it boot, how to make it install, they'll have pretty good documentation there for that, or whatever Linux you use. As I mentioned, the one I like a lot and use the most because it's the most compatible these days is called Pop! OS, from a company called System 76. That's basically a version of Ubuntu with additional drivers built in. 8888 Ask Leo. One more segment, and then we're going to wrap this thing up for the weekend. Get ready for the Oscars. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's see, how many more calls do I have? I have a little time. Let's get to Todd in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello, Todd.
Hello, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. How are you? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have given a spoiler alert. He picks up baby and dances with her. Oh, no, I've ruined the movie for you. Go ahead.
I have seen that movie, so it's okay.
Okay, good.
So I have a quick microphone question, and it's a question as well as a compliment. I mean, I think your podcast, everything you guys do is top notch, but the audio quality that you generate from your interviews and your other guests who are, remotely in their areas over Skype or whatever it is you use, you're all using these high PR40s.
Yes.
And with your experience and, legacy within the broadcasting business, I'm assuming you've come across, RE3200s, again, an EV, but more importantly, an SM7B, a traditional, state-of-the-art broadcasting mic. And I'm curious, why did you choose the high PR40?
Wow. This is a little inside baseball, but I think it's of interest. And nowadays, isn't everybody a podcaster? So everybody wants to know. I'm using a Heil PR40 right now. Bob Heil, who is a good friend, is a legendary rock and roll sound guy. He invented the mouth talking device that Peter Frampton used in that thing. In fact, he tells the story that Frampton's wife came to him and said, "I want to give Peter something nice for his birthday," and he invented this vocoder thing that they put in your mouth. And Joe Walsh uses it. A lot of people use it. Bob also did the quadraphonic sound for Quadrophenia, the Who's very famous concert tour where the music went all around you. He's also a ham, an amateur radio operator. And he lamented for years the poor quality of microphones that amateur radio operators are using. So he invented a microphone that it started with ham radio, and it's now used by broadcasters and by podcasters. I was not aware of Bob. I was not aware of these microphones until the very first Podcast Expo. This would be back in probably 2005 or 6. And I was an early podcaster, and that year won the Podcast of the Year award. The prize was a Heil PR40 mic. So I think we were doing a show from down there. It was in Ontario, California, and so I plugged it in. And I really liked the sound of my voice. It's one of those. So let me talk about what it is and why those other mics you mentioned are comparable. There are two kinds of microphones in general. There's dynamic mics, which don't need any power, and there's condenser mics, which have to be powered. When you watch, Madonna or Taylor Swift do her latest album in the recording studio, they're almost always using a Neumann condenser mic, very, very sensitive, very precise, very high quality mic. And notice when they sing, they do it in an isolated booth, soundproof booth, because those condenser mics are so good, they'll hear a pin drop. They'll hear lips smacking. They'll hear somebody sipping coffee at the control board, so they isolate them. And that's why I don't use condenser mics. I have worked in radio studios that had Neumann mics. I always thought it was a little odd. I prefer a microphone that isn't good in the sense that it doesn't pick up every sound. In fact, these Heil mics, if I get a little bit off mic, as I am right now, you can see my voice drops off quite a bit, almost immediately. That's frankly a quality I want in a broadcast mic. I'm not sitting in a soundproof booth. I have people in the studio watching the show. I don't have, egg cartons on the wall. But this mic is so directional, so not sensitive that it makes a perfect radio mic. The SM7 you mentioned, or 57 you mentioned, the Shure microphone, the Electro Voice RE, originally 20. The RE20 was for years the microphone in radio, and they've, of course, updated that. What did you say, 30? They're up to 32 now? Very similar mics. They're a long barrel mic. You address the end. They have a large dynamic coil in it. They have ports on the side that do audio noise canceling. And they have a very similar warm sound to them. The SM58, which is the microphone used by punk rock performers almost exclusively. I saw David Letterman do his show in New York City a few years ago. And he has an SM57 or FSM58 that he uses for the pre-show that he swings around, he bangs on the ground, he uses it as a club, as a weapon, and it just keeps on ticking. It's a great microphone for adverse environments, has very good sound. But if you're not going to bang your mic around, I think the PR40 is a little more expensive. You can get an SM58 for around $125, $150. The PR40 is around $350. The RE20 is a lot more, and the RE32, I bet, is more than that. So price performance, I think this is a great mic. The other thing to keep in mind with microphones is how they sound with your voice. So really, the reason we use PR40s is because I like how they sound with my voice, and it's my company. I get to choose the microphone.
You do what you want.
But I think we all sound pretty good on it. I think they sound better on it than most other mics.
What were you using before the PR40?
That's a good question. When I first started doing this radio show, even somebody told me, you should use you've seen football announcers use them. They're headphone boom mics.
Oh, okay.
I think they're from Sennheiser. I used that for a while because I can move my head around, right? The disadvantage of a microphone like this Heil or an RE20 or SM58 is you really have to talk right into the microphone. There's another disadvantage which some people like, which is the so-called proximity effect. Dynamic mics like this, when you get, and you've seen comedians do this, when you get close to the mic, it gets bassy. So you see them do this. This trick with their microphone. That's because they're using those dynamic mics. In most cases, Shure SM58s on stage. So I'm just a fan of these. I really like them, but it's a personal choice. What's your podcast going to be about?
Open Jam. It's about music. It's in the final stages, and I'm at the final points of picking up one more piece of gear. I've got guests staged and ready coming in the next couple weeks. So,
well, if you're a musician, you probably have microphone, and I know you know about mics because of the models you mentioned, which are both excellent dynamic mics.
I like the cost point of that PR40.
Yeah.
But again, I'm trusting. Kind of. You trust what you see and you trust what you hear. And I truly wanted to lead off with the compliment. I think the quality of your audio, from just the audio podcast to coming over to the video, just the same. Everything you do is top solid.
Well, one of the reasons is I'm a radio guy, and I always have said the audio, even if you're doing a video show, should be good because the picture can be a little fuzzy or whatever, but if the audio's bad, it's annoying. People will tune out.
I think they say a good video is 70% audio.
Yeah. And honestly, people laugh at me because we have these big microphones in our face, even on the video podcasts. And I say, I don't care. I want them to sound good. And it's part of our look. Burke just handed me one of the old Sennheisers from the good old days. This is a HMD 280-13. And if I plug it in, you'll see why I stopped using them. They sound okay. They're fine if you're on a football field. But I wouldn't recommend them for your podcast. Hey, what's the name of the show going to be?
Open Jam.
And where will it be? Where can I find it?
Well,
you'll put it on iTunes, right?
You mentioned going through Anchor for the RSS feeds and the simplicity and the cheapness of that cost and getting it started. I'm excited about it, and
good luck.
I pretty much will do whatever you suggest. So.
Well, I suggest you do it. That's the most important part. Open Jam. We'll look forward to seeing it. Thanks, Lady Laura. What a fun day. Our musical director, Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Thanks to you for listening. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security and Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.